What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Bulls Latest. Your host, Matt Johnson here. I want to kick off this show previewing the Bulls' next matchup in Orlando Saturday night. That'll take place at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can find that game on Chicago Sports Network. Bulls squad's coming off an opening night win. The Bulls, obviously, the 115-111 win over Detroit, and Orlando coming off a 125-121 win over the Miami Heat on Wednesday night. Orlando got a boost to start the year when they learned that star player Jalen Suggs will be a full go. If you guys remember, Jalen Suggs had arthroscopic knee surgery in March 2025 to remove a cartilage fragment within his left knee there. Suggs would go on to score 14 points in 17 minutes of action on opening night there. Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner added 24 points as well. Desmond Bane looked strong in his Orlando Magic debut with 23 points there. When you look at the Bulls side of things, they're going to look to build off of really a stellar win to start the year at home against the Detroit Pistons, a playoff team from a year ago. Vooch will look to stay rolling and stay hot, along with Matas Buzelis and Josh Giddey, who also had very strong performances to open the year for the Bulls. Looking at Vooch in specific, he captured his 560th double-double in that opening win. He had 28 points and 14 rebounds, like I talked about in my recap of that game. Only LeBron James has more double-doubles among active players. That's quite the feat there when you look at a guy like Vooch and how consistent he's been during his tenure with the Chicago Bulls. This is a guy who's going to be the unmatched leader of this group. I think he's going to provide that as a veteran on this team. You have a lot of young pieces. We kind of see that. Ayo Dosunmu and Kevin Huerter, very strong performances off the bench, like I talked about in my recap, but they're going to look to continue that as well and continue to contribute in strong ways for the Bulls until they get Kobe White back into the fold here in a couple of weeks there. Before this contest, Orlando will actually host the Atlanta Hawks on Friday night before the Chicago Bulls head into town for that big showdown on Saturday. So excited for that matchup. That's going to be a fun one to watch. The Bulls going in with some momentum. Vooch going back to play in Orlando against his old squad. So you know he's going to want to show out coming off that double-double to start the year. Super excited for this one. You can catch that one again 6 p.m. on Saturday night on CHSN there. So we'll continue to kind of look at things as we head into that matchup. I think, going off of yesterday's episode, the Bulls committee mindset is really something that when you watch the post-game interviews with a lot of the Bulls players, they continue to emphasize that stuff. I emphasized this myself in our last episode here following the opening night win, but to be widely successful this year, the Bulls will need to continue to lean on that idea of getting contributions up and down the roster. I think that's going to be something that when you want to see this Bulls team at full strength and winning as many ball games as possible, you're going to have to see contributions going from top to bottom on this roster like we did in that opening win there. So that's going to be the recipe for success. Billy Donovan knows that, and you're going to see a lot of guys get opportunities to add to the combination that is going to hopefully push the Bulls to a lot of victories early on here and as we coast throughout the season. So, when you watch today's NBA as a whole, really, the game is no longer top-heavy. You don't have top-heavy rosters, and the expectation, that a team can be carried by 1 to 2 superstars, maybe even 3 stars, that's not favorable. You look at the Oklahoma City Thunder a year ago, really dominant season. I talked about this many times in the offseason. Indiana Pacers as well. They didn't get to the NBA Finals a year ago with top-heavy rosters. There's a bunch of talent on that Oklahoma City Thunder team in specific, but it's a lot of young talent, and really they are one of the deeper teams that we've ever seen. So, I just think that is the recipe for success in the modern game. Billy Donovan knows that, and the Bulls players are taking that to the bank as well, which is exciting because a lot of times when you get these superstars who are paid these big contracts, they want to carry the load. But the fact that this is such a team-heavy mindset is very encouraging if you're a Bulls fan. I'm certainly encouraged by it. You're going to see many guys kind of dipping in to contribute as we go along this season. So The by committee mindset is something that is being accepted and pushed by this Bulls group as we move forward. Kind of going off of another guy, I think just by looking at his performance in that opener, I didn't speak to him much in the recap, but Pat Williams is a guy who really is going to look for a role that will gradually increase here. I think he's going to be a guy who will get better as the year goes on. His minutes will increase most definitely. He's going to be a guy that Billy Donovan leans on. When you look at his performance in the opener, it doesn't stand out much in terms of the box score. But he saw 17 minutes of action in that opener, only finished with 4 points. But it's obvious that he's a guy that Billy wants to get involved in this one in an increased way as the season progresses. So keep an eye on Pat Williams. You could see him crack some starting lineups as well. There's a number of shifting pieces in that starting lineup. You could see Ayo crack starting lineups. I mean, Trey Jones started, but in that opener. But you could see Dosunmu make the starting lineup, Pat Williams, even Kevin Huerter at times. We'll see, at least until Coby White comes back. Coby White obviously going to be a fixture in the Bulls starting lineup as well. So we'll keep an eye on that as things progress there. And then, obviously the big bomb that we had today in the NBA world, the gambling scandal that came to light here. Portland Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups was arrested around 6 a.m. local time in his Portland home, and Terry Rozier was also arrested at 6 a.m. local time at a hotel in Orlando. Obviously, the Miami Heat playing in Orlando last night, losing that game to the Orlando Magic in that narrow defeat there. And these arrests were due to part of a pair of wide-ranging investigations related to illegal sports betting and rigged poker games backed by the mafia. So Billups and Rozier had been placed on leave by their teams, both completely separate investigations here and different things going on with each guy. A total of 34 people were arrested as a result of a year-long investigation covering 11 states and involving tens of millions of dollars. So the FBI was on this for some time, and that news broke today. The multiple charges involve 4 mafia families that organize and organized crime networks across the United. So crazy news there infecting our game. I mean, we're just days into the regular season, and this is coming out. It's kind of wild, but we'll continue to look at that. In terms of Chauncey Billups, the scheme that they were running with the poker allegedly involved recruiting innocent quote-unquote fish who were lured to participate in poker games with the opportunity to play with former professional athletes. It's no surprise you see movies about it. It really is prominent, but underground gambling operations where big-time people and big figures go and play at is very common, unfortunately, nowadays. What the victims of the schemes didn't know was that the group was allegedly using, quote, X-ray tables that could read the cards upside down, contact lenses and glasses that read pre-marked cards, and secret cameras and card trays, all rigging the game against the unknowing participants. The scheme has reportedly led to tens of millions of dollars in theft and fraud. This is something that is completely separate from the NBA betting, but it is still something that, with Chauncey Billups being the new head coach of the Portland Blazers, is going to affect them. Now they don't have a coach, going forward, they're going to have to figure that out. So, in relation to the Terry Rozier thing, former Pistons player Malik Beasley was not detained as one of those 34 arrests during this wave of arrests that were made, even with this previous involvement in this matter as well. Malik Beasley's fate now depends on a Department of Justice announcement that is soon to come here, so we'll keep an eye on that as well. In terms of Terry Rozier and the stuff going on with him, Terry Rozier allegedly had over $200,000 delivered to his home after bettors cashed in on his under, and this is per The Athletic. On March 23rd, 2023, Terry Rozier, while playing for the Hornets, let others close to him know that he planned to leave early with injury. And associates bet more than $200,000 on Rozier's unders, and winnings were delivered to Rozier's home later on, the indictment alleges. So really wild news and a bomb that we got today in the NBA world. Again, just days into the NBA season. So kind of a wild thing there. I mean, this is concerning news only because it has to be something that is going on in even a bigger way in our great league, and we just don't know who else is involved. I saw Pat Beverly took to X, and he was posting, I wonder which guy in this investigation of the 34 arrests is going to snitch on whoever else is involved. So it's inevitable. It's a shame that this is going on in our game. Obviously, gambling legalized in pretty much most of the country in the last 5 to 10 years here. So it is crazy to see it happen. Am I surprised? No, not at all. I talked to you guys on the Malik Beasley stuff a while ago. So, especially with Terry Rozier's previous involvement, he really didn't have a role on this Miami Heat team because of that previous scandal that he was kind of under investigation for. Now, this is just something that it doesn't make a ton of sense with the financials and the money that he was making in terms of how much he made as an NBA player. Is it really worth throwing your career away for that? And Chauncey Billups, I started to read stuff too this morning that with the poker operation, he started to kind of, fix NBA games here as well. So it's not really surprising that is going on as well. He could be looking to pay back gambling debts that he created through the poker games. So, we'll see how that goes and how everything shakes out. Obviously, innocent until proven guilty for both guys, but the investigations will now be ongoing. Both lawyers kind of came out and said that they expect to win each case for those guys in specific. But keep an eye on how this continues to snowball into other NBA news coming out in terms of guys getting found, guilty for this same type of act. It is going on in our league, no doubt, between all the athletes in our great game. I mean, it's just a matter of what news is going to come out next, honestly. So, I want to, wrap today's show up with that. That was a crazy news bomb to start the day. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for your support on this show. It does not go unnoticed. Hit that like and subscribe button. I want to thank all you guys who have been watching and supporting up to this point. Thanks again for joining me on another episode of Bulls Latest, guys, and we will see you all next time.